The signal from beyond. The signal arrived on a Tuesday. Commander Elena Reyes was halfway through her morning coffee when the alert flashed across her terminal at the Deep Space Listening Array in Chile. At first, she dismissed it as another false positive, cosmic background radiation, or a pulsar's rhythmic heartbeat misinterpreted by the system. But when the pattern repeated with mathematical precision, her fingers froze above her keyboard. "Dr. Kaminsky," she called across the monitoring room, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. "You need to see this." The aging astrophysicist shuffled over, squinting through thick glasses. His eyes widened as he scanned the readout. "Prime numbers," he whispered. And then, "What is this sequence?" "It's a distress call," Elena said. "I'm certain of it." Within hours, listening stations across Earth confirmed the signal's authenticity. It originated from a star system 38 light-years away, a signal that had begun its journey when Elena was still a child. The mathematical patterns were undeniably artificial, followed by what appeared to be basic chemical formulas, and what they eventually determined were vital signs. Failing vital signs. Someone was dying out there. An entire civilization was crying out into the void. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session in Geneva. Representatives from all nations gathered to debate humanity's response to the first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. "We must respond immediately," argued Dr. Amara Okafor, Earth's leading xenolinguist. "This isn't just first contact, it's a plea for help." Admiral Zhang leaned forward, his weathered face grave. "With our current propulsion technology, a rescue mission would take nearly 15 years. Whatever sent that signal might already be gone." "Then we'll have to be faster," said Reyes, who had been invited to present the signal analysis. The new antimatter catalyzed fusion drives could cut that time to 3 years. "Those drives haven't been tested beyond Mars," shouted someone from the back. "Then this is our test," Elena replied calmly. "We've spent centuries looking to the stars, wondering if we're alone. Now we know we're not. And their first message to us is a cry for help. What does it say about humanity if we ignore it?" The debate raged for days, but in the end, the decision was made. Humanity would answer the call. Unknown to Earth, across the galaxy, another civilization had also detected the signal. The Galactic Council, a federation of 27 spacefaring species, had monitored the dying world of Lumina for decades. The luminary, crystalline beings who absorbed light for nourishment, had once been candidates for council membership before a mysterious plague decimated their population. Within the council's gleaming chambers on the capital world of Nexus Prime, High Arbitrator Vexella's membranous wings fluttered with irritation. "The signal violates quarantine protocol," the insectoid diplomat stated. "Lumina was sealed off for the protection of the galaxy. The plague that afflicts them could spread if containment is breached." "But shouldn't we at least investigate?" asked Torak, representative of the empathic Merlani. "Our medical science has advanced considerably since the quarantine was established." The council voted. Vexilla replied coldly. "Quarantine stands. The signal will be ignored." The council's advanced surveillance systems detected Earth's preparations almost immediately. They observed with detached curiosity as humans frantically constructed a vessel unlike any they had built before. "These primitive beings cannot possibly reach Lumina," scoffed Councillor Dreth of the silicon-based Eulorians. "Even if they do, they lack the medical knowledge to assist. This is an exercise in futility." "Perhaps," mused Vexala, "but their response is noteworthy. Log it for the Xenosociology archives." On Earth, the greatest minds and resources were poured into Project Outstretched Hand. The antimatter catalyzed fusion drive was perfected in months rather than years. Medical researchers developed universal diagnostic tools and adaptable treatment protocols for potentially alien physiologies. The Hope Ascendant was completed in 14 months, a sleek vessel with a crew of 12 specialists, each the best in their field. Commander Elena Reyes was selected to lead the mission, her intimate knowledge of the signal making her the natural choice. The night before launch, Alina stood on the observation deck of the lunar shipyard, gazing at the distant blue marble of Earth. "Nervous?" asked Dr. Kaminsky, who had joined the mission as chief science officer despite being well past retirement age. "Terrified," Alina admitted. "We're about to attempt something no human has ever done before." "That's what we do, isn't it?" The old scientist smiled. "Push boundaries, explore the unknown, answer calls in the dark. What if we're too late? What if we can't help them? Then at least they know they weren't alone." Kaminsky replied softly. "That somewhere in this vast universe, someone heard them and cared enough to try." The Hope Ascendant launched from lunar orbit amid global celebrations. For the first time in generations, humanity was united in purpose, reaching out beyond their solar system, not for conquest or resources, but to answer a plea for help. The journey was arduous. Despite the revolutionary propulsion system, 3 years in deep space took its toll on the crew. They alternated between cryosleep and active duty, maintaining the ship and continuing to analyze the increasingly faint signal from Lumina. "The transmissions are degrading," reported communications officer Maya Chen during the final approach. "Power fluctuations suggest their infrastructure is failing." "Life signs?" Alina asked, her voice hoarse from disuse after her latest cryosleep cycle. "Faint but present. I estimate fewer than 1,000 individuals remain." The Ascendant entered the Luminan system cautiously. The star was a dying red giant, its outer layers already beginning to engulf its inner planets. Lumina itself orbited at a precarious distance, once perfectly positioned for the crystalline inhabitants who thrived on stellar radiation, now dangerously close to the expanding star. "My God," whispered Dr. Isabella Rossi, the mission's xenobiologist, as the first visual feeds came through. "They're literally made of living crystal." The images showed a city of geometric precision, spires and domes that would have once refracted sunlight in dazzling patterns. Now many structures lay shattered, and the remaining luminary moved sluggishly, their once brilliant bodies dulled to an ashen gray. "They're starving," Isabella realized. "Their physiology appears to convert specific wavelengths of light into energy. With their star dying, they're dying with it," Alina finished. "Can we help them? Maybe. We brought light-emitting technology that spans the full spectrum. If we can determine which wavelengths they need." The Hope Ascendant established orbit around Lumina. Initial scans revealed the planet's atmosphere remained breathable for humans, though the high radiation levels from the unstable star meant surface time would need to be limited. Alina led the first landing party, touching down near the largest remaining settlement. As the airlock opened, she stepped onto an alien world, humanity's first footfall on a planet beyond their solar system. The landscape was hauntingly beautiful. Crystal formations jutted from the ground like enormous, faceted flowers. The architecture blended seamlessly with natural formations, creating a cityscape that seemed to have grown organically from the planet itself. A delegation of luminari approached cautiously. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, humanoid in basic shape, but with bodies composed of translucent crystal that caught what little light remained, refracting it through their forms. Their movements were slow, deliberate, whether from cultural practice or physical weakness, Alina couldn't tell. The lead figure raised a crystalline hand in what seemed like greeting. No mouth was visible, but somehow a voice resonated from its body, a haunting, melodic sound that the translation software struggled to interpret. "You came," it finally managed to translate. "Across the void. You heard us." "We heard you," Alina confirmed, fighting back unexpected tears. "We're here to help if we can." The luminary leader, who identified itself as Chrysar, seemed overwhelmed by this statement. Its crystalline form flickered with internal light, the first genuine brightness they had seen from any of the aliens. The council refused, said we must remain isolated, die alone. Dr. Rossi stepped forward. "What council?" Who refused to help you? The Galactic Council, Chrysar explained, each word clearly an effort. 27 species. They govern the stars. We were once considered for membership. Then the change began. Over the next hours, as the human medical team set up specialized light arrays to provide energy to the weakened luminary, Chrysar revealed the tragic history of his people. 3 decades earlier, a council research vessel had visited Lumina to assess their candidacy for membership. Shortly after, the first cases of what they called the dimming appeared, a condition where luminary gradually lost their ability to absorb and process light. The council quickly declared a quarantine, promising to research a cure from a safe distance. But no cure ever came. No council ships returned. The luminary sent messages for years before finally resorting to the powerful, mathematically coded distress call that Earth had detected. They abandoned us, Chrysar said, his voice stronger now as he absorbed energy from the human light arrays. Left us to fade. Elena felt cold anger building inside her. This council, they are still out there, still enforcing this quarantine. Yes, automated weapons platforms surround our system. Your ship, how did you pass? We didn't see any platforms, Elena replied, exchanging concerned glances with her crew. Either they failed over time, or, Dr. Kaminsky completed her thought, or they recognized our ship as too primitive to be a threat and let us through. Either way, Elena said firmly, we're here now, and we're going to help you. The medical team worked tirelessly, analyzing luminary physiology and the nature of the dimming. Dr. Rossi made the breakthrough on the 4th day. It's not a disease, she announced during the emergency briefing. It's poisoning. The luminary aren't losing their ability to process light. They're being blocked from doing so. Poisoning. Elena frowned. From what? Trace particles of an artificially engineered compound I've tentatively named inhibitium. It bonds to their crystalline structure and prevents proper light absorption. Are you suggesting this was deliberate? Dr. Kaminsky asked, his face pale. The evidence suggests so. This compound doesn't occur naturally. It had to be manufactured. And from the distribution pattern in the affected luminary, it appears it was introduced through their atmosphere. The implications stunned the room into silence. Finally, Elena spoke the unthinkable aloud. The council didn't abandon them because of a natural plague. They did this to them. As if summoned by this accusation, alarms blared across the Hope Ascended. Officer Chen's voice came urgently through the comms. Commander, multiple vessels just appeared at the edge of the system. Advanced design, nothing like we've ever seen. They're transmitting a message in perfect English. The view screen activated to show an alien face, insectoid, with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked as it spoke. Attention Earth vessel. This is High Arbitrator Vexala of the Galactic Council. You have violated a Class 1 quarantine zone. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will not be tolerated. Elena met the alien's compound gaze steadily, her decision already made. This is Commander Elena Reyes of Earth. We're aware of your quarantine, and we're aware of why you established it. We will not comply with your order. The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. Surprise. You do not understand the situation, Commander. The luminary harbor a contagion that. The luminary harbor nothing except the poison your council introduced to their world, Elena interrupted. We've identified it. We can prove it. And we will not abandon them as you did. For the first time, Vexala seemed genuinely surprised. The insectoid's compound eyes widened slightly before narrowing again. You have 24 Earth hours to depart the system, the alien finally said. After that, we will take whatever measures are necessary to maintain quarantine. The transmission cut off abruptly. Options. Elena asked her senior staff. Their ships outclass ours in every way. Security Chief Navarro reported grimly. If they decide to attack, we won't stand a chance. Then we need to leave before the deadline, Elena said, and we need to take as many luminary as we can with us. As night fell on Lumina, the rescue operation began in earnest. The dying world's fate now hung in the balance, caught between humanity's compassion and the Council's iron will. The Hope Ascendant prepared for the most daring evacuation in human history, while beyond the system's edge, the Council fleet watched and waited. Breaking the chains, dawn broke over luminous crystal plains, casting prismatic rainbows across the shattered landscape. The Hope Ascendant hovered above the largest settlement, its cargo bays open as humans and Luminary worked together in a desperate race against time. "We can accommodate 200 at maximum capacity," Chief Engineer Takashi Himura reported, his usually calm demeanor strained. "And that's with converting every non-essential space into cryo quarters." Commander Elena Rice surveyed the evacuation efforts from a makeshift command post. "How many remain on the surface?" "Just over 800. Dr. Rossi answered, not looking up from her diagnostic equipment. She was working with a team of Luminary healers to identify those most affected by the inhibitium poisoning. "We're prioritizing those with the highest contamination levels and families with offspring." Elena nodded grimly. The math was inescapable. They couldn't save everyone. The knowledge weighed on her like a physical burden. Chrysar approached, his crystalline form glowing stronger now after treatments with the specialized light arrays the human medical team had developed. "Your people risk much for strangers," he observed, the translator now seamlessly converting his resonant tones. "The Council will not forgive this interference." "We're not doing it for forgiveness," Elena replied. "Where I come from, we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing." The Luminary leader's faceted head tilted slightly. "A wise philosophy. Perhaps had your species been discovered by the Council first, galactic history would have taken a different path." In orbit, the Council fleet had grown to 12 vessels, sleek, predatory shapes that dwarfed the Hope Ascendant. They maintained formation just beyond weapons range, a visible reminder of the deadline ticking away. Communications Officer Chen monitored their transmissions. "They're discussing us," she reported. "Our translators are only catching fragments, but they seem confused by our actions." "Confused how?" Elena asked. "They keep using terms that translate roughly as irrational behavior and evolutionary disadvantage. They don't understand why we would risk ourselves for another species." Dr. Kaminsky chuckled dryly. "They've built their entire society on cold calculation, and here we are, acting from the heart. No wonder they're baffled." As the evacuation continued, the Luminaries shared their history with their human rescuers. Their civilization had flourished for millennia, developing technologies that worked in harmony with their crystalline biology. They had no concept of warfare. Their greatest challenges came from their environment as their star gradually expanded. When the Council scouts first arrived, Chrysar explained as they supervised the loading of ancient data crystals containing Luminary history and culture, "We believe salvation had come." They spoke of galactic community, shared knowledge, mutual protection. "What changed?" Elena asked. "They discovered our resonance technology." Chrysar gestured to a device being carefully loaded onto the shuttle, a crystalline sphere that pulsed with inner light. "We can harmonize with the fundamental frequencies of matter itself. With this, we created our cities, grew our food, powered our world." Elena's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "You can manipulate matter at its most basic level." Yes, the Council representatives were disturbed by the demonstration. They departed suddenly, promising to return with membership details. Instead, the next ships released something into our atmosphere. Within days, the dimming began. The truth was worse than they had imagined. The Luminary hadn't been quarantined to protect others. They had been deliberately poisoned because their technology threatened the Council's power structure. Aboard the Hope Ascendant, Security Chief Navarro was coordinating defense plans when sensors detected new activity from the Council fleet. "Commander," he called urgently over the comm, "they're launching smaller vessels, dozens of them. Intercept course with our shuttles." Elena rushed to the nearest shuttle. All evacuation craft, emergency return protocol. Maximum speed, evasive patterns. From the surface, they watched as Council interceptors descended like metallic wasps, targeting the slow-moving human shuttles laden with luminary refugees. They're forcing our deadline, Elena realized. Trying to stop the evacuation before it's complete. Dr. Rossi gripped her arm. We still have over 600 people here, Commander. Most won't survive another cycle without treatment. Elena's mind raced. The Hope Ascendant couldn't make multiple trips. Once they left, the Council would ensure they never returned. But they couldn't leave hundreds to die, either. Chrysar approached, carrying the resonance sphere they had been loading earlier. Perhaps there is another way, he said quietly. With your permission, Commander. The luminary explained his plan. Their resonance technology, while weakened by their condition, could still perform one last feat, if combined with human ingenuity. Our resonance spheres can create a subspace pocket, Chrysar explained. Temporary, but large enough to transport many more of my people than your physical spaces allow. Chief Engineer Himura looked skeptical. You're talking about folding space within our ship. The power requirements alone can be met. Chrysar interrupted. By channeling energy from your antimatter reactor through our resonance matrix. It's never been done, Elena said cautiously. Much of what you humans do has never been done, Chrysar replied. Yet here you are, across the stars, saving those abandoned by the mighty Council. The plan took shape rapidly. While the Hope Ascendant's remaining shuttles engaged in decoy maneuvers to distract the Council interceptors, luminary engineers worked with Himura's team to integrate their resonance technology with the human ship's power systems. This is insane, muttered Navarro as he watched crystalline structures grow into the ship's bulkheads, merging with human technology in ways that defied conventional physics. That's humanity's specialty, Dr. Kaminsky quipped, monitoring the increasingly exotic energy readings. As Council vessels closed in, Elena made the call. Begin mass evacuation. Everyone who can move, head to the designated coordinates. Across Lumina's surface, the remaining luminary formed long, glittering lines, moving toward transport areas where Chrysar's engineers had established resonance links to the Ascendant. As each group reached the focal point, they seemed to shimmer and vanish, transported not to physical spaces within the ship, but to a subspace pocket anchored to its structure. It's working, Chen reported incredulously. Life signs are stable in the subspace fold. Council vessels are responding, Navarro warned. They're targeting the transport sites. Defensive positions, Elena ordered. Hold them off as long as possible. The final phase of the evacuation became a desperate race. Human crew members provided covering fire with their limited weapons, while Luminary used what remained of their resonance abilities to disrupt Council targeting systems. One by one, the transport sites completed their work and shut down. Last group away, reported Dr. Rossi from the surface. Just us left now. Get to the final shuttle, Elena ordered. We're cutting it close. As the last human luminary team prepared to leave the surface, the Council broke through their defenses. Energy weapons scorched the crystal plains, destroying the ancient structures of the luminary homeworld. The final shuttle lifted off amid weapons fire, its shields barely holding as it climbed through the atmosphere. Council interceptors swarmed toward it, intent on preventing its escape. They won't make it, Chen whispered, watching the tactical display. Elena turned to Chrysar. Can your resonance technology reach them? The luminary studied the display, his crystalline form pulsing with concentration, not directly. But there is something else we might do. What followed would later be known as the luminary's last gift to their homeworld. Chrysar, connected to the ship's systems through a makeshift interface, reached out with the resonance sphere to the millions of crystal formations still covering Lumina's surface. For one brief, magnificent moment, the entire planet lit up like a star, each crystal amplifying and redirecting the fading light of their sun in a blinding flash that temporarily disabled every Council vessel in orbit. In that moment of confusion, The final shuttle docked with the Hope Ascendant. All hands secured, Navarro confirmed. We're at 347% of rated capacity, with over 700 luminary in the subspace fold. Get us out of here, Elena ordered. Maximum speed, heading 227 Mark 44. The antimatter catalyzed fusion drives flared to life, pushing the overloaded vessel away from Lumina. Council ships, recovering from the planetary flash, moved to intercept, but Elena wasn't heading for open space. They're expecting us to run for Earth, she explained to her bewildered crew. Instead, we're making for the system's edge, where the star's radiation will mask our signature. What followed was a desperate game of cat and mouse. The Hope Ascendant skimmed the upper atmosphere of gas giants, used asteroid fields for cover, and at one point executed a slingshot maneuver around a small moon that nearly tore the ship apart. The luminary proved invaluable during the escape. Their resonance technology, while limited, allowed them to dampen the ship's energy signature and briefly confuse council sensors at critical moments. Finally, at the system's edge, Elena ordered the most daring maneuver yet. There's a coronal mass ejection forming on the far side of the star, she explained, pointing to sensor readings. If we time our jump precisely, we can use it as cover. The radiation will fry our sensors, Himura warned. We'll be jumping blind. Not blind, Chrysar interjected. The resonance fold can act as a buffer, protecting your systems for the crucial moments. The plan was beyond reckless. It required skimming closer to the unstable star than any human vessel had ever attempted, then executing a faster-than-light jump through the erupting solar material. If we miscalculate by even a second, Navarro warned, we'll be vaporized. And if we don't try, Elena countered, we'll be captured, and all the luminary will be returned to die on their poisoned world. The decision was unanimous. The Hope Ascendant plunged toward the dying star, its hull straining against the increasing heat and radiation. Council vessels followed at a distance, unwilling to risk the same proximity. Jump coordinates locked, Chen reported, her voice steady despite the alarms blaring across the bridge. Resonance field at maximum, added Chrysar. The view screen showed the star's surface churning beneath them, plasma eruptions reaching toward the ship like fiery fingers. Now, Elena ordered as the coronal mass ejection began. The antimatter catalyzed fusion drive engaged with a quantum twist, creating the bubble of warped space that would carry them faster than light. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to bend around the ship as it catapulted forward, riding the wave of stellar energy like a surfboard on a tsunami. When they emerged from FTL 3 light-years away, the Council fleet was nowhere to be seen. Did we lose them? Dr. Rossi asked, helping a luminary child who had been injured during the escape. For now, Elena replied, but they'll be looking. The journey to Earth took months longer than planned. The Hope Ascendant, operating well beyond its design specifications, required frequent stops for repairs. The resonance fold that held hundreds of luminary refugees needed constant adjustment to remain stable. Yet despite the challenges, a remarkable transformation occurred during the journey. Humans and luminary worked together, learning from each other, sharing technologies and perspectives. The luminary began to recover as the effects of the inhibitium poison gradually faded under Dr. Rossi's treatments. By the time they approached Earth, a new partnership had been forged, one that would change the face of human civilization and galactic politics forever. The Hope Ascendant's return caused a sensation on Earth. The arrival of hundreds of crystalline aliens, along with evidence of the Galactic Council's crimes, galvanized humanity. Nations that had been rivals united in the face of this new reality. There were other intelligences among the stars, and not all of them were friendly. Within a year, luminary resonance technology had revolutionized human science. Clean energy production, advanced materials, even medical treatments benefited from their unique understanding of matter's fundamental properties. In return, humans provided the luminary with a new home and the vibrant diversity that had been lacking in their isolated existence. But the greatest change came in galactic politics. The evidence the Hope Ascendant brought back, proof of deliberate poisoning and abandonment, was transmitted on all frequencies toward known Council worlds. The message was clear. The Council's leadership had betrayed its own principles, and humanity would not stand for such injustice. On Earth, as the first permanent luminary settlement took shape in the Australian outback, where the crystal-based beings could absorb maximum sunlight, Alina Rice stood beside Chrysar, watching human and luminary children playing together. The Council will come eventually, she acknowledged. They won't ignore a direct challenge to their authority. Let them come, Chrysar replied, his crystalline form now glowing with healthy inner light. They will find not just humans, not just luminary, but something new, something they have never encountered before. What's that? Alina asked. A civilization built on compassion rather than calculation, on connection rather than control. The luminary's crystalline surface refracted the sunset into dazzling patterns. They have ruled through fear for millennia, but you have shown us there is another way. As if in response to his words, a communication arrived from deep space, not from the Council, but from another civilization that had monitored the events at Lumina. They too had chafed under Council domination. They too had questioned the cold calculus that left worlds to die for political convenience, and they would not be the last. Across the galaxy, the story spread of how a supposedly primitive species had crossed the stars not for conquest or resources, but simply to answer a cry for help, and in doing so, had begun to unravel an empire built on indifference. The signal from Lumina had found humanity, and now humanity's response was finding others who believed in something more than cold survival, who believed, as humans did, that the true measure of advancement was not technological might, but the courage to reach into the darkness and offer a helping hand. The galaxy would never be the same again.